Hello and welcome to the second episode of my new daily Minecraft series. I probably won't introduce them that way every single time, but I thought since this was only the second and some people might not have noticed this series uh, yet, but yeah, welcome back. I'm standing here on the top of my church tower. I'm just gonna move the microphone a little bit away like that. I hope that didn't make a lot of noise. As you can probably tell by the title, this episode is gonna be all about the Commodore 64. Um, but first, let's get rid of some of the other things. There really isn't that much to talk about. Let's get down from here first into first person. Turn that back on and go down. I wonder can I can't get down I can't get down. Why can't I get down? Okay, there we go. Okay. Can the villagers climb stairs? I mean ladders. I know they can climb stairs, but can they climb ladders? That's if anybody knows the answers, hey, stop dancing on the tables. But yeah, if anybody knows the answer to that question, please let me know in the comments below. Right down there. Um, but yeah, let's. What else do we have to talk about? I haven't built anything new yet. I have something in the works somewhere over there, but it isn't completely done, so I won't show it off until it's done. But like I said in the last episode, the first episode, I am not going to show something new each and every day. This is mostly a way for me to communicate with you, the subscribers. Oh well, communicate. I guess it's mostly a one way, but you feel free to leave any kind of comment if you have a question. Hopefully, mostly relevant questions. Um, but yeah, I've gained 2 more subscribers since I made the last video, which means that I am now at 336 subscribers. So getting to 350 might not take that long. So that's pretty exciting. I probably won't. I don't know if I'll comment on the current subscriber status every single episode, but I just thought since I've gained 2 in one day, that's pretty good for me. I'm not. I've been very slow with gaining subscribers, but lately it's um it's become a lot faster. So that's pretty cool. Don't know if I've done something differently or if people have just started noticing me more. I think that I read somewhere that uh, that if you get the more subscribers you have, the more views you have, the more likely you are to get noticed, and I guess that does make sense. But yeah. Anyway, oh, did I stumble on something? Well, I'm getting rid of this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Is that a new thing that no? Weed grows back out? Is this maybe this isn't weed? This is weed. I harvested these fields. Normally you'd have to plant new seeds. I haven't been playing Minecraft that much lately, so I don't know. Maybe. Ah. Anyway, anything else? No. So let's get started. The reason I'm talking about Commodore today is the fact that, well, there's going to be some Commodore videos later today. It's the Commodore Friday. So, and I thought that to new subscribers, I would talk a little bit about my life with the Commodore 64. I've done it before. All that rhyming. But I think I'll do it once more. Ooh, more rhyming. Um, so yeah, let's start with some facts about the Commodore. Let's go into first person. And whoa, standing on the edge. I'm living on the edge. Never mind. Yeah, let's start with some facts about the Commodore. The Commodore is a PC. Normally, these days, we look at a PC and we see, well, pretty much any computer that isn't a Mac is just called a PC. But back then, there were actually names to PCs. What we see as a PC today was normally called an IBM because IBM was stood for the majority of the market of that kind of PC. I mean, it might have been slightly different, but I think it's the closest to what we get to a normal PC. There were others as well, but as that looks like what the standard PC these days. And of course, there was also Apple's. But other than those, there was also the Commodore, the Amiga, which was later bought by the Commodore, the Spectrum, the Amstrad, and others. I can't really recall them all. Ooh, I'm doing a lot of rhyming today, I must say. Sorry. Um, and yeah, the Commodore was the leading computer in its field, the leading personal computer. It's actually, as far as I know, to this very date, still the most sold PC in the world. And by that I mean a PC that actually has a name. Because these days, I mean, there are different PCs, but we don't really see them as different PCs. They're mostly just different companies making different parts of our PCs. But back in the days, it was normal that you'd buy a PC made by a certain company, like the Commodore, or the IBM, or the Spectrum, and Amiga, and so on. But so the most sold PC ever is the Commodore 64. Um, let's actually go to bed. Oh, maybe I should go into first person. Ooh. But yeah, the Commodore was leading at the time in graphics and especially in sound because of its amazing SID chip. That chip is still uh, being used this very day in music, in a lot of keyboards and synthesizers, because it's an amazing chip, and people are still in. Did you just destroy that? Yeah, shame on you. What the? Stop walking in the fields. Well, actually, I'm going to destroy them anyway, but still. Is he picking it up or just leaving it? Wait. Is he actually picking it up or is it down in the water? He's actually picking it up. Oh my god. When did that become a part of the game? Wow. Huh. Anyway, the Commodore had different ways of getting your games into the Commodore. It had the cassette tape. That's actually the first way, the first uh, what's it called? Data holder? I don't know. But yeah, you used to have the games and programs on cassette tapes. Later on, they also had floppy disks, those big black disks. And I think uh, in the late stages of the Commodore, they even introduced briefly and not that successfully. They had cartridges. But yeah, enough of the Commodore history. I might have been wrong of some of the things I've said. I'm not a computer historian. I am, however, a historian in the fact of me. That sounded weird. So this is mostly gonna be about my experience with the Commodore. Now, since this is many years ago, I still might get some of the facts wrong. Like, for instance, I can't remember when I got my Commodore, but I think it was in the late 80s or early 90s, probably in the late 80s. But because by 94 I had a what a PC, a normal PC. That's going to be difficult. From now on, I'm going to refer as the Commodore, and the PC, the modern PC, will just be the PC. Simple, right? But yeah, by '94, I know I had a PC because I bought Rise of the Triads in '94 or '95. So I'd probably say the late '80s, maybe '88, '87, around that time. Before that, I had an Atari 2600. Uh, Not that many games. I had 7 or 8 games for that, including the Super Mario. No, not Super Mario. The Mario Brothers, Joust, and Crystal Castles. But yeah, the Commodore. At first, I only had like the tape deck, so I'd have to. That was a really kind of crappy system. You'd have to remember where on the cassette the game was. You'd have like these lists written on paper where you'd see at 251 this game starts, and you had to go to that spot and hope that it loaded. Otherwise, you had to rewind the tape and try again. There was a lot of try and error. Um, when I bought my Commodore, it was a used Commodore, and I got a lot of games on cassette. I think I got 5 or 6 games with multiple games on each tape, including games such as The Great Jana Sisters and I think a game just called Ninja, I believe. International Karate and other games. I think I can't remember which games was on my Commodore on my tape deck and which was on the discs, but we'll get to the games themselves a little bit later. So yeah, I got a lot of games, and I also bought some. I actually bought a Dizzy box set, which had 5 Dizzy games, 3 of which I have played on this very channel. And I bought the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the same game that also came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the crappy one, and it really was horrible. And I got a game called Myth, History in the Making. I think was the subtitle, History in the Making. But yeah, really amazing game. I never really got to that far in Myth, but it was an amazing game. And I also bought some other games, some of which actually didn't work, which was kind of weird. So then, like I said, later on, I got a disk station with a lot of floppy disks filled with games, also used, and also these was of course pirated games. But back then, I don't think there were that much. People didn't think that much about it, especially because you couldn't download the games from internet. You can buy them, and when you went into a store, they didn't really have that big a selection of Commodore games, so you'd have to order them and stuff like that. So having games traded by just pirate floppy disk copying wasn't really that big of a deal. Uh, Back then, PC copy wasn't really that big of a deal. It's only late in the later years, the post Napster years, that it became a really big deal. Actually, I think it might have been some years after Napster that PC games started. The PC company started really doing an attack on piracy. But yeah, I never actually bought any games on disc for my Commodore. But my stepbrother, actually for Christmas and birthdays for a couple of years got me, like, I think it was 10 or 11 discs with all the newest Commodore games. That was really awesome. Games like Hudson Hawk, which I am currently playing, and you'll be able to see later, and also games like Terminator 2 for the Commodore, and a lot of other cool games. I had a lot of really amazing games. Pit Stop 2, Speedball 2, Space Harrier, Afterburner, The Great Genesis, Creatures, International Karate, Burning Rubber, Beachhead, Infiltrator. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I had so many great games. DuckTales, Pirates, Sid Meier's Pirates. I actually had that for the Commodore, and also I had Sim City for the Commodore. But this isn't really gonna be. This is. It's not supposed to be about me just listing all the different games I had. But yeah, I had a lot of games, and I actually never completed that many. I completed the Great Ancestors, Creatures, and Henry's House, which all three of them I also completed on this channel. But other than that, I played a lot of the games just casually, and sometimes I had a friend over and we'd play some multiplayer games like International Karate or some racing games where you could like split screen. You could split screen in Pit Stop 2. And I think also in pole position, but other times it was just fun to. We would take turns and just like watch a game. I remember I was at a friend's house. I brought my Commodore to his house. That was the cool thing about the Commodore. You could choose to play on a monitor or you could play on the TV, and it wasn't like you'd need any extra equipment. It was easily hooked into both. But yeah, I brought my Commodore to a friend's house, and we played a game called Blood and Guts, which was kind of I think it was Blood and Guts. It was kind of like a barbarian sport game. You'd have cat throwing, and there was boulder, something where you should roll a boulder up a hill, arm wrestling, beer drinking, and it was one discipline. I can't remember what it was, but we couldn't figure out what the fuck to do. We actually sat up like till like 4 or 5 in the morning trying to figure that out. I think we actually figured it out at the end. I can't remember. It was many years ago. And I like to and sometimes I just pretended that the games were something else than they were. Like for instance, Pit Stop 2, uh, where I would pretend that it was like going on a road trip. So I would actually drive like 2 or 3 rounds, laps, and then I would get into the pit stop, which the game was named after, and I would stay there for maybe several hours, pretending that hey, I was at my location, and then I would continue and just play the games a little differently than I was supposed to. Uh, there was other things on the Commodore as well. There was like I had a couple of paint programs. I had actually had programs, drawing slash paint programs that was better than the newest version of Microsoft Paint. And we're talking back in the 80s. And these were really awesome programs. And I had like text-based programs. I had programs in which you could make your own music and all kinds of weird stuff. Then there was the demos, which usually had a picture or an animation with some music in the background. That was actually the how I got introduced to several different musicians, including LL Cool J, which I later became a big fan of. There was like a demo where you'd hear repeated, you'd hear the chorus from radio. I can't even remember how it goes. I'm the leader of the show, blah blah, but I couldn't survive without my radio. But that was just on repeat while you look at some picture and stuff like that. And most of the games came with cheats. You didn't have to like write cheat codes or do like the Konami code or something like that. You just basically something it came up on the screen like here, and it said, "Do you want unlimited live? Yes or no?" And you'd press yes or no, or do you want invincibility? I often must admit I took unlimited lives and sometimes even invincibility, but most of the time it's just unlimited lives because back then it's not like a lot of modern games where you died, you just started a checkpoint. No, if you died a couple of times, it was game over, no matter how far you got. There were no saving system for most games. There was some you could save in, but most of the games, as far as I remember, there weren't any ways to save the game, so you had to do them in one go. I might be wrong about that. There were maybe saves. I can't remember. And like I said, in the last days of the Commodore, there was like cartridges, and I actually had one cartridge, and that was Rick Dangerous, which was also the first game I played on this channel. Um, but yeah, I think that's. I could talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to. So, but the reason, of course, that I'm talking about this today is because in in a little later today, you will get not one but two Commodore videos. That's right. I am upping the something, and you'll be now each Friday you'll be getting two Commodore videos. I've been kind of slacking on the Commodore, having a lot of pauses in the Commodore, but now I am going to be a little more uh, frequent, a little more consistent with my Commodore uploads. And actually, today, not only do you get two videos, but it's actually, and without giving too many spoilers, it's the final two videos of my Hudson Hawk playthrough. If you haven't checked it out, you from the beginning you should. I will eventually put them in a playlist, but it's easy. Just search Hudson Hawk. There's only going to be 9 videos, so it's not like you'd have to search through them to find a certain number or anything. But I think that's it for now. Um, so this has been a Commodore special, I guess. And remember to check out my Commodore videos coming up in, I don't know, depending on when you see this video, but they'll be out. Maybe they're already out. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Bye.